Not like this.
Too late.
Hi, this is Gizmo First, and today we're going to discuss something that quite frankly I've been talking about now for quite a while. The lack of content and its consequences. I'm going to be focusing on an interesting post made by King Fanman. I love this guy's channel, he's a great, straight up and positive guy, and if you haven't subbed to him yet, please do. His channel link is down below. He posted about what a lot of people have been posting about, that the winter roadmap has changed radically since the start of the year. Someone recently made the comment to me that roadmaps should be treated as guidelines more than rules.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
But if that's so, can we not change the name of it, because roadmap kind of implies something that is set in stone? Can you imagine trying to navigate around the city using a roadmap which was more or less what the city looked like? Yeah, I don't think it would kind of work, so I don't think this phrase is descriptive enough to describe something which is not set in stone or set in concrete as roads are. But discussing this, first off, how anyone thought that it wouldn't change is beyond me. Bethesda has a horrible track record of keeping release dates and such, but quite a few people across the board have voiced worries that this is an indicator that Bethesda is going to shut the game down. I am not sure about the current number of players, but I called it before Worlds was released that if Bethesda thinks that this update, I'm talking about Worlds of course, is going to give them the influx of players they need to keep the game alive, then they have a problem with their marketing staff, who seem completely disconnected from their player base. I will reiterate again, Worlds is not content. It's a reskinning of current content, and without new content, players will not stick around. There is a marked difference, statistically, how long players who paid for the game pre-Xbox Game Pass will stick with it, and those who drop in from time to time because they have Game Pass. Unfortunately, Bethesda keeps marketing to the newer player base at levels 1 to 50 rather than keeping the interest of people who parted with, and in many cases continue to part with, their hard-earned money. That part of the community wants map changes and updates and expansions, new story content, even if it were new side quests to get interested in. In the entertainment industry, however, we are living in a period where the company tells you what you should want, and if you don't want it, they'll take it away. You should want a female doctor in Doctor Who. You should like Luke Skywalker to drink titty milk and be depressed. You should want Rey to be overpowered for no reason than that she's a woman, of course, and if you don't, you are an ist of some sort, surely. And in Bethesda's case, you should want a 3-month grind to get a list of skins and crafting items, most of which you won't use if you are an endgame player anyway. If they could at least keep the challenges fresh and varied, but 6 seasons in, we are still seeing the same stuff, and there is no excuse for it, frankly, other than Bethesda are just not invested in this game anymore.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
So I'm going to go through some of the comments on the King's thread, basically because I know that he's a cool guy and he attracts other cool people to his channel who are not douchebags. Considering they are not my subscribers, however, I have blacked out the names going forward. This user states, King, I don't know if you've read the writing on the wall or really dissected interviews with BGS. Fallout 76 was merely an experiment with the possibility of a Fallout franchise online. That is quite correct. They gave the Fallout 4 code to a small group and told them to patch something together for an experimental online game, which they then decided to release. He goes on to say they wanted to see what worked and what wouldn't, the ups and downs and so on. Now, this is purely speculation, and I'm glad that he added that, but just look at the minimum amount of effort they've put into this game. They're using this as a baseline for what Elder Scrolls 6 and others should and shouldn't do. Yeah, I'll accept that. I don't think they've put a minimum amount of effort into the game, but I do think it's been lackluster in the last year. It's kind of like bands like Linkin Park who make 2 or 3 great albums, then release an experimental album or 2 to see what works and what the fans say. Fans paid money for that album and they didn't pay to hear an experiment. They want concrete music from a band that knows what they're doing. Many fans jumped ship on Linkin Park back then, and the same thing is happening here. This next user posted, "Yes, I mentioned a comment on Kane Vader's last video about Worlds. I really believe that when the Pit DLC is released, if the player count doesn't get better, they are going to pull the plug." Well, yes, I think this is kind of obvious. If it doesn't make money for Microsoft, it'll be axed for sure. Not straight away, it will be a gradual process, but I think we might be seeing signs of that process coming already. And things like this are not helping their cause at all. I mean, come on, it was gearing up to be something entirely new and different, and now gone. I assume he's referring to the said winter content, which has now been axed. He continues saying, "I don't get it. How do they expect players to stay interested and look forward to something to just in turn say later they decided not to do it?" And this, for me, is at the heart of the problem. The excuse that coronavirus is stopping you from releasing content is now pretty lame. Not to be insensitive, but I was hospitalized and almost killed by that virus, but I run a company which slowed for a while but had to keep on running to keep clients. And we did, and continue to do so. For a company that has had a year and major resources at its disposal to pump into networking its workers together to improve home workflow, there are less and less excuses for them to postpone stuff like this. By the time the Pit comes about, there may be no more players left to care. This user piped in with, "When they planning to quit or abandon 76, at least what they can do is install a single player mode in it, so the game will be offline playable." Now, we all know that Bethesda won't be doing this, and it's not as simple a task as people seem to think, but as I pointed out in a recent video that you can watch after this one, there is a group of people who have your back on this. And finally this. Ever since Jeff left, it hasn't felt the same. I am tired of bashing them about this, but I highly doubt that we are getting the Pit next year, and I share these doubts. I think it might release, but soon after they'll announce a shutdown date for the game, if they can't stick with content for the roadmap. Yeah, it's not scrapped, yeah, it needs more time, but stop announcing stuff and getting our hopes up unless it's a legit almost done, or at least done for the PTS. I'm absolutely with you there. There's only so much delay and disappointment that people can take, and it doesn't seem like a sound business plan to me. He continues by saying, "It's a no-brainer that companies like Undead Labs can remaster an entire map from the first State of Decay, add a lot to it, and throw it in State of Decay 2, while focusing on finishing State of Decay 3. What is Bethesda doing with their money? Servers are crap these days, and I actually don't agree with that. I left my computer running for 3 days during the Meat Week event, turning a spit, and never got kicked once, but maybe I'm just lucky. I hate that a company that I have supported for the last 10 years with a single game series is starting to fall apart." He goes on for quite a while, so I won't go into it in more detail, but he goes on to mention the scoreboard being filler content and the endless grind with the boring daily challenges. And yes, I share this frustration, too much filler like worlds and scoreboards and not enough content. I managed to catch King Fanman's live stream about a month ago, and he was crazy positive about Worlds and runs some very fun live streams on them, so go and check those out for inspiration if you don't know what to do with it. And he said that from sources he knows that Worlds is kind of, again, an experiment where Bethesda is wanting to see what people do in private servers and which of the 4 public worlds proves to be the most popular, so they can cater for that audience.
I'd buy that for $1.
It's an honourable goal for sure, but in all honesty, again, we're back to paying money for experiments. People have been telling Bethesda what they want for nearly 3 years now. If they still need to run experiments to find out what we like and don't like, I feel the game might be doomed. I really hope I am wrong, and I feel that I need to take a lie down after this video, as I hate reporting negativity on this game, which has become my favourite game of all time. Some say I need to play more games in that case, but I've been playing computer games for quite a long time now, but the shutting down of Nuclear Winter, which spent 2 years in beta, has pulled the rug out from under a lot of fans, even those who hated this mode, because like Survival before it, Bethesda keeps taking out things that they only half develop, instead of hunkering down, working on it and making it good. Please excuse me now, I feel a headache coming on and I have to script my next, I really hope more positive video to counteract it. This is Gizmo First, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.